What if I told you there's a $100 habit that's quietly creating millionaires, while millions of people ignore it every single month? It doesn't require a high income, a lucky investment, or financial genius. In fact, it's so simple that most people dismiss it, and that's exactly why they never become wealthy. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact number, the exact age most millionaires start this habit, and the one mistake that stops 90% of people from ever getting there. Stay until the end, because the math I'm about to show you will make you angry at every dollar you've ever wasted. Here's a question for you. What if the difference between staying broke and becoming a millionaire wasn't a big salary, a lucky investment, or a rich relative? What if it was just $100 a month? Not a typo, not a joke. $100 moved the same way every single month for long enough. It sounds too small to matter. That's exactly why almost nobody does it. And that's exactly why the people who do are the ones who end up quietly wealthy while everyone else is still waiting for their big break. Let me show you the story of two men, both starting at the exact same point. Same age, 25 years old, same starting salary, same city. One of them, we'll call him the spender, feels like $100 a month is nothing. He skips it. He tells himself he'll start investing later, once he's making more money, once things are more stable. The other one, we'll call him the quiet one, decides that $100 a month is non-negotiable, no matter what. Not because he has extra money lying around, because he treats it like a bill he owes to his own future, the same way he'd pay rent or a phone bill. Both of them go on living their lives. Nothing dramatic happens. No big wins, no big losses, just years passing quietly in the background. Now here's where it gets interesting. Fast forward 40 years. The spender is 65 years old, and he still hasn't started. He tells himself the same story he told himself at 25. He'll start once things are more stable. Except now, there's less runway left to make up for lost time. The quiet one, meanwhile, has been putting that same $100 a month into a simple index fund since the day he turned 25. He never touched it. He never checked it obsessively. He barely thought about it most years. And at 65, assuming an average historical market return, that $100 a month has quietly grown into more than $1 million. Not because he was smart, not because he timed the market, because he never stopped, and time did the rest of the work for him. This is the part most people get wrong about wealth. They think it requires a big move, a business that takes off, a stock that 10 times, a bonus that changes everything. But if you actually study people who build wealth from nothing, the pattern is almost always the opposite. It's boring, it's repetitive, it's the same small action, done without fail for so long that the results eventually become impossible to ignore. The businessman who owns 3 rental properties didn't buy them all in 1 year. He bought one, then quietly saved for the next, for a decade, while everyone around him was chasing faster results. The habit was never exciting. That was never the point. So why does $100 a month actually work, mathematically? This is the part almost nobody explains properly. So let's break it down simply. When you invest money, it doesn't just sit there. It earns a return, and that return gets added to your original amount. And then next year, you earn a return on that new, larger total. This is called compounding, and it behaves in a strange way, almost invisible for the first several years, and then suddenly explosive in the final stretch. In the first 5 years of investing $100 a month, you might only have around $7,000. It looks unimpressive. Most people quit right here, convinced it isn't working. But by year 20, that same habit has quietly built itself into over $70,000. And by year 40, assuming consistent contributions and average market growth, it crosses well past the $1 million mark. The money you put in barely matters compared to the growth that happens in the final 10 years alone. This is why starting early is worth more than starting big. A 25-year-old investing $100 a month will very often end up wealthier than a 45-year-old investing $500 a month simply because time had more room to work its silent multiplication. Here's the uncomfortable part, though. Almost everyone reading this has spent more than $100 this month on something they don't even remember. A few delivery orders, a subscription they forgot to cancel, impulse purchases that felt necessary in the moment and meant nothing a week later. None of those purchases are evil, but collectively, they represent exactly the amount that could have quietly become a drone dollar by dollar year after year, without you ever needing to think about it again. This is the real trade most people don't realize they're making. It's not rich versus poor, it's noticing versus not noticing. This brings us to the actual habit, the one behind almost every quiet millionaire story you'll ever hear. It isn't picking the perfect stock. It isn't timing the market. It's automation. The moment a habit depends on willpower, it eventually fails because willpower runs out on hard days, tired days, tempting days. But the people who actually build wealth this way remove willpower from the equation entirely. They set up an automatic transfer the same day their paycheck arrives, before they ever see the money, before they can talk themselves out of it. The money leaves before it becomes a decision. This one shift, automating instead of relying on motivation, is the actual difference between people who talk about investing and people who quietly become millionaires without anyone noticing. And here's the part that will genuinely surprise you if you've never thought about it this way. The habit doesn't need to be $100 specifically. It needs to be automatic, and it needs to be consistent. Some people start with $50, some start with $200. The number matters far less than most people assume. What actually separates the wealthy from the struggling isn't the size of the first deposit. It's whether the habit survives contact with real life. Job loss, medical bills, bad months, tempting purchases. The people who become quietly wealthy are the ones who protect this habit like it's sacred, even when it's inconvenient, even when everything in them wants to skip just this one month. There's a reason this habit is so rarely talked about. It doesn't look impressive. Nobody posts a screenshot of $100 leaving their account every month. There's no dramatic before and after. There's no flashy reveal. It's the financial equivalent of brushing your teeth. Boring, unremarkable, and quietly responsible for something much bigger than it looks like in the moment. And that's exactly why it works. Nothing that quiet ever attracts attention, and nothing that quiet ever gets copied by people looking for a shortcut. The people who actually do it aren't doing it for anyone to see. They're doing it because they've stopped needing the shortcut altogether. So here's the hard truth hiding underneath all of this. If you're waiting for a bigger salary, a lucky break, or the right time to start building wealth, you might be waiting for a feeling that was never going to arrive on its own. The $100 was never really about the money. It was about proving to yourself that you can commit to something long enough for it to matter, long before anyone else can see the results. Every month you delay isn't just a missed contribution. It's a missed decade of growth on the other end, quietly compounding without you. The next time you're about to spend $100 on something you won't remember next week, ask yourself a different question. Not what you can afford right now. Ask what that same $100 could quietly become if you simply left it alone for the next 20 years. Because somewhere out there, someone your exact age, making your exact salary, already started. And in 20 years, the only difference between the two of you won't be luck. It'll be the one decision you're making right now. If this changed the way you think about small money habits, stay close, because the next video breaks down the exact accounts and simple tools quiet millionaires actually use to automate this. No complicated spreadsheets, no financial advisor needed.